Hi, I'm Debbie from Property Apprentice, and today I've got a special guest. I'd like to introduce you all to Kellie Dawson. Ryan and Kellie have been clients of ours almost from the beginning. So we worked out, what was it, about 2012? It was before we started keeping the current records that we've got now. We're not 100% sure. But, we'd seen Ryan and Kellie grow as investors and followed their journey with having babies and all this sort of fun stuff as well. So today, Kellie's here to share their story, a little bit about their story anyway, and talk about this next stage in their lives and what they're planning at the moment.
I'm excited and nervous at the same time.
Yeah, no, I can understand why. All right. So where do you want to start, Kellie?
Or do you want to start at the beginning?
Sure.
Like in 2012.
Sure.
So our journey with property started, well, maybe a little bit before 2012, and that we bought our first house back in 2008, and it was a real go up. So, we sort of ripped into getting the house all done up, and that took up sort of a lot of the time over the next few years. And then once we got the house pretty well on the way in terms of renovations, Ryan sort of had this idea that we should start looking at buying an investment property. And I said, well, I didn't want to. I thought it was a complete risky thing to do. That, I mean, we'd seen family and friends buy leaky apartments, and one of our family friends lost a lot of money through property investing. And I thought, there's no way that we wanted to actually get into something like that. And we only had just started to get a disposable income. So I kind of had this idea that if we bought an investment property, then all of a sudden all of our disposable income would disappear as well. So was not keen at all. But I mean, Ryan, he's quite persistent. And so we were looking at investment properties, and we went to there's a house across the road from us that was up for sale. So we went and had a look at it, and we got pre-approval, and we went to the auction. And once we had been to the auction, we didn't win, obviously, but we started to realize that actually we didn't really know very much at all about investing in property. And it was around about, yeah, it must have been, gosh, when was it? There were a lot of ads on the radio, and there were all sorts of things about property investing, lots of people, selling off the plan apartments and all that sort of stuff. So we started to go to all these seminars, and a lot of them didn't help really in terms of my being skeptical about property investing, because I don't know, it was all these really sort of sales pitch things where people were trying to sell you these apartments, and it didn't feel right to me. And then, of course, we heard your ads on the radio, and Ryan said to me, like, there's this free seminar. We should go. We should go. And I was like, oh, come on. Like, and so, but he kept saying, it's free. Like, what have we got to lose? We can go and just see it. If we don't like it, it doesn't matter. And he wouldn't drop it. So he actually was overseas on a trip at the time. And I just thought, you know what? While he's away, I've got nothing on. I'm going to go one Saturday, I think it was, and I'm going to listen and see what you have to say. And it was you who was doing the presentation, Debbie. And I sort of went in there again, skeptical about how it was all going to go. But by the time you finished the presentation, I was texting Ryan, and he was in the UK, like, I'm going to sign us up. I'm going to sign us up. And he said, well, hang on, I better go. I better go do this. Wait till I get back. So he went to another beginner's guide when he got back, and he signed us up as well. So he was obviously convinced too.
No, that's nice. So what was it that you felt different about the ones, like how we ran those free events compared to some of the others that you'd been to?
Well, one of the big things for me was that you weren't selling anything. It wasn't like buy my apartment. It was like selling education. And at the time you were doing this 10-year plan where you talk through what it would look like if you bought a property and, held on to that one and then bought another one and recycled your deposit, etc. And through that example, I was like, oh wow, actually this could work. It was much more concrete. I think seeing all the numbers laid out, it sort of helped me to see that maybe something like that would be possible for us.
Mm, okay. And yeah, I mean, certainly over the years, you've developed a successful portfolio, and now you're reaching the next stage in your life. So you've got
Oh,
two kids that are grown up rapidly, and
yeah.
yeah, good time for you guys to take a bit of a pause on life, isn't it?
It is. Well, I mean, the boys, we started investing. We bought our first investment property when Oliver was, I think, about 3 months old. So about a year after we did the course, we bought our first property. And then, it was pretty full on over a few years as the boys were growing up, buying more properties, doing lots of renovations. And so it's kind of been a busy, I mean, the boys are 9 and 11 now. So it's been a busy 12 years, I suppose, since
Mhm.
2012. And, we've both been working a lot of the time throughout that period as well. So we got to the point, sort of since COVID, we had this feeling like a lot of Mondays or Tuesdays or Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays and just that same old groundhog day all the time. So we had this kind of crazy idea that we wanted to take some time off and travel with the boys while they're still young. But we have bought a caravan and we're about to do a lap around Australia starting only 5 weeks away now. So
Wow, that they know it. So
I
you
know it's
you're
coming
literally
so
gonna be
fast.
gypsies. Yeah, you're gonna be gypsies. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
nomads, I think is the new term.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. That sounds more politically correct, doesn't it? We'll go with yeah. So how long had this idea of traveling around Australia been swimming around in your heads?
Well, really, it was probably about a year ago, just over a year ago. So I mean, for a while, we've had this kind of itch, like since COVID, that we want to change something, and we weren't quite sure what it was. And we were thinking about building a new house for ourselves, and we went through the process of having plans drawn up, etc. But then we realized, well, if we do that, we're going to have another giant mortgage, which
Mm.
is going to stop us from doing something like this. So the combination of that realization, and we read this book called Die with Zero. It was about sort of making the most of your money while you're living, rather than sort of putting all your eggs away for your retirement. That you could actually do something while you're young, or do things while you were young to enjoy the benefits of all of your hard work.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the really important lessons that a lot of new investors miss. They forget because growing a rental portfolio is not always easy. It does take a bit of effort to find the good deals and you renovated what every single property you purchased. So,
Yeah, you've got what at least once. Some of them
yeah,
are a couple of times.
yeah, exactly. And I remember one night when Ryan was showing the group, when you guys were coaching and Ryan was showing the group pictures of how he'd replaced the floor. And I was thinking, he's an electric, like, I mean, he works in New Zealand, what does he know about changing floors? And I said, how did you learn how to do that? Did you do that yourself? And he said, yeah, I Googled it, looked it up on YouTube.
Giggling. Like,
It's like, that's so cool. Yeah, I think, you two have really taken control of your own investment journey and getting that balance right between life as well as growing wealth is certainly an important thing.
yeah, absolutely. And I think it was probably, we've been doing this now, well, the journey is sort of 12 years altogether since we did the course. But we realized probably about 5 years ago, I think when we started the course, we had gone into it thinking this is going to set us up for retirement at 65. And then about 5 years ago, we went, oh my goodness, this is actually working really well, a lot better than what we would have predicted, you know, initially when we started investing. And that it was a reality that while we're still, relatively young, but we can take an opportunity like this. So we decided when we were about 35, we were going to go for a goal of hitting financial freedom by 40. We're 39 now and we haven't quite got there. But, if we tweaked a few things, we're not really that far off. So
No.
it's pretty amazing.
And you've created choices that you wouldn't have had if
Yeah.
you'd both just been carrying on in your day jobs. There's not many people at your age, at the risk of sounding condescending, but there's not that many people at your young age that could be in the financial position that you're in if you'd
Yeah.
just been and doing your day jobs right
Yeah.
through. So yeah.
Absolutely. And so many people have said to us when we've talked about what we're doing, oh man, I wish we could do that. And we kind of like we don't say it, but we have this thing between the two of us where we're like, well, like there's really nothing that special about us. We just did something and we started this investing and put in a lot of hard work. But there wasn't like we weren't from wealthy families or anything that it was something that we've built up ourselves. And so kind of feel like, when we hear those, we hear people say, "Oh, I'd love to do that." We kind of feel like saying, "But you could, just do what we did."
Absolutely. Like, I mean, you can't start any younger, but you can
Yeah,
certainly start tomorrow, if not today. So,
absolutely.
yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the journey to get to where you're at now, as far as being 5 weeks away from starting this trip.
Yeah, so probably about a year ago, we started looking at whether it was feasible. And so we started running some numbers. We did a bit of research into buying a caravan and how much that would cost and a vehicle to tow it with. And we sort of thought, well, yeah, we actually we can do this. We'd seen some other families we're on Instagram, and we saw some families that were traveling. And actually at the time we were thinking about just buying a caravan to use in New Zealand and have a bit more fun in the weekends and school holidays. And as the algorithms do, we started to see all of these other traveling families who actually travel full time with caravans. And I saw one particular family with this amazing caravan set up. And I showed it to Ryan one night. And like, how cool is their setup? And he started having a look at their Instagram page, and they travel full time with their kids around Australia. And he was like, we should do that. So we started to plan the trip from there, I suppose. And once we had a bit of an idea about, or a rough idea of what it was going to cost, we've sort of just worked around a plan of making it happen, doing all of this stuff you need to do. Like, we're setting our own house up as an Airbnb. So we're not renting that for a number of reasons, but we had to figure that out. That's a whole other thing. Sorting out insurances, planning for the boys for homeschooling. It's actually been a really full on thing, planning the whole thing out. So it really has taken us the 12 months to put everything in place. So now we're 5 weeks out, and we've packed up most of our house and got everything ready. So we went over to Australia in the last school holidays and packed up our caravan and set it all up ready to go. So 5 weeks time, we fly over there and actually start our big trip.
It's so cool. How excited are the boys?
They're pretty excited. I think they're a bit nervous as well. I think now that it's getting so close, they're a bit nervous about leaving their friends. I think we're all kind of in this weird phase at the moment of being excited and nervous at the same time.
Mm. I mean, these days it's so much easier to keep in touch with people around the world, though, isn't it? With FaceTime and Messenger and stuff like that, it makes it a lot easier. So they'll be able to keep in touch with all their friends. And when they get back, they'll have some cool stories to tell.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I kind of feel like it's a really amazing opportunity to make memories with them, and they're at a really good age where I think they'll remember most of what we do. So, yeah.
Mm. And I think from my perspective as your coach and financial advisor, I remember when you came to talk to me and you were like, this is what we're thinking of doing. And we're just wondering whether, which property we should sell to fund it. And I was like, don't sell anything. And we can work out a way for you to do it. And it
Yeah.
just sort of helped you think of a few other avenues that you might be able to go down. And then obviously you went down a whole other rabbit hole as well with the with the blogging and stuff like that, which I think is really exciting. So
Yeah.
you're gonna be an inspiration to a whole generation of people.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the idea. I think that, like I said, we feel like there's nothing special about us in that. But what we've done is kind of people think is something that's a bit extraordinary, like not run of the mill, but like we kind of feel like other people can do it too. And if we can help show, other regular Kiwis that you can do something like that, then that's kind of part of the whole thing is just to inspire other people to take the action and do it.
Excellent. All right, so a few questions first up. I've just thought these off the top of my head, so I'm going to throw them at you. You will get an ad lib answer. So,
Okay.
first question: what would your advice be to someone who's thinking about investing in property to increase their chances of, doing something similar to what you're doing?
Honestly, it would be to get yourself educated about property investment. That was like the big Kickstarter for everything that we did was that we would have made so many mistakes if we hadn't have gone and learned about how to invest in property the right way and to have a good strategy. So like that house that we were looking at across the street from us would have done exactly what I didn't want to happen. It would have taken up all our disposable income. If anything had have gone wrong, we would have been absolutely maxed out on our expenses, and it would have been something that could have been a disaster. And so when we went to meet with you, I remember sitting down with you and you're like, so you can buy one property now. And then if you do that one up, you can buy another one in a few months' time. And we were like, wait, what? Hang on. Like, we had this strategy where we could quite quickly build a portfolio of multiple properties. And we'd never have even thought of that. And also we didn't really think about the fact that we could buy properties that would largely cover their own costs. We were sort of thinking, oh, well, we'll have to top it all up from our income. So yeah, I think that the education, like someone was asking me the other day about a sort of a similar question. I'm like, I think that the biggest thing for us is that it's worth spending the money to make money. So spending the money on getting yourself educated to be able to mm, get yourself started in the right foot.
That was, I mean, that's certainly what Paul and I felt as well. When because we spent several thousands of dollars educating ourselves, and then that was money well spent in hindsight because it
Yeah.
prevented us from making some serious financial mistakes just because we didn't know
Yeah.
what we didn't know, and it's literally one of the reasons that we started up Property Apprentice. So yeah, I think valid point. Definitely, you need to learn a bit more about property investing before you get started. And there's plenty of different options out there. So, people can go and do their own homework on a range of different companies. There's something just before all of the, what do you call it, keyboard warriors start,
Yeah.
start going, oh, yeah, but these days it's different. That was back in the global financial, or back before the global financial crisis or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, the rules were different back then, but there's still people doing it today.
Oh yeah.
10 years from now are going to have very similar choices. The difference is that now it's a lot more about playing the game of finance as opposed to playing the game of monopoly. It's not about whoever's got the most number of houses. It's about making sure that the properties are right for your individual situation. I think that's something that you and Ryan definitely covered with your investment choices as well. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. I think that's a really important point as well, is that it's definitely not just about the number of houses that you have. I think people are often sort of quite impressed by when they hear, oh, someone's got 20 houses or whatever, but it's actually got nothing to do with the number of houses, but what they do for you. And, we've not got a huge number of houses, but the ones that we have are working for us. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, that sounds good. All right. So, what's the best way for people to follow you on your journey?
So we are sharing everything on Instagram. So we're showing a bit of information about property journey, a bit of what we're doing in terms of preparing to head over to Australia, and then we'll be sharing regularly what we're up to in our travels. So we're on Instagram at Financial Freedom by 40, all words, and also on YouTube. So we're sharing the same sort of content, but in a weekly video format over on YouTube. So again, just Financial Freedom by 40.
Excellent. And that's 40 FORTY,
Yep.
not the numbers
Yep.
40,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So people now know where to find you. And before people start thinking, oh, she's pretty cute, we could stalk her. No, that's not going to happen because I think you're very smart and that you're going to be uploading content a few weeks after you've left an area, aren't you? So there'll be weekly uploads,
Yeah.
but
Weekly videos probably about 3 or 4 weeks behind where we actually are at a particular point in time.
yeah, I think that's a great decision, especially with your two kids with you as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Excellent. I can't wait to see your journey and cyber stalk you. Awesome. Yeah, no, I think it's going to be great. We're looking forward to seeing all the updates and keeping up to date, and can't wait to catch up with you guys when you get back.
Yeah. Can't wait to share the journey.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your time, Kelly. So, yeah, there you go. You all know where to find them on YouTube and on Instagram. So, look forward to that. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
See ya.